My beloved child, before you scroll past this message, pause for just a single moment. I know you are carrying an invisible burden that no one else can see. The storm raging in your mind right now has no thunder, no pouring rain, yet it is quietly eroding the very last ounce of strength within your soul. It is the crushing weight of numbers, the haunting anxiety of upcoming bills, the relentless, meticulous calculations that keep you awake through the darkest hours of the night. You still smile at people during the day. You still step forward and fulfill your responsibilities. But when the night falls and the world goes quiet, I see you sitting there, surrounded by debt notices, reminder messages, and a fear that is slowly tightening its grip around your chest. You are wondering what tomorrow will look like. You are terrified that you will not be able to adequately provide for the ones you love. Your greatest fear is not merely poverty, it is the feeling of absolute helplessness. It is the heavy sensation that you have somehow failed, even though you have pushed yourself to the point of complete exhaustion. I see the tears you desperately swallow back so that no one else has to worry. I hear your heavy sighs when your phone screen lights up with numbers that make your heart sink. My child, this weariness is not just physical. It is a profound spiritual depletion. The enemy does not need to use massive tragedies to strike you down. It only needs to sow the seeds of financial anxiety to drain every drop of faith and peace I have freely given you. But I did not come here today to judge your moments of weakness or your heavy anxieties. I came to tell you this battle is not over, and you have never been abandoned. What you are facing right now feels like an unbreakable fortress of lack and scarcity, but in my eyes, it is only the clearing of the path for a heavy rain of provision that I am about to pour over your life. The enemy wants you to believe you are trapped in this pit forever, that the next bill will be the final drop that sinks you entirely. But I tell you, before that next bill even arrives at your door, I want you to make a profound shift from deep within your spirit. I am not asking you to be strong anymore. I know you have braced yourself for far too long. You have exhausted all human strength trying to calculate, to manage, to find a way out. And right now, when you feel you have reached the absolute dead end, that is exactly when my door begins to open. The enemy always loves to attack in the moments you feel most insecure. It whispers in your ear that my silence is my absence, that I have forgotten your needs. But oh, my child, I have not taken my eyes off you for even a single breath. Take a deep breath right now. Let go of the numbers dancing chaotically in your head. Do not rush to calculate how you will pay for tomorrow. Let your soul rest in my presence, because there is a spiritual secret you need to grasp right now, an action you must take before tomorrow's sun awakens, to completely reverse the financial siege that is holding you captive. My child, the greatest deception the enemy has planted in your mind during this financial winter is the lie of absolute isolation. It wants you to believe that you are entirely on your own, that the crushing weight of providing rests solely on your fragile shoulders. I see how you stare at the ceiling in the dead of night, mentally rearranging the little you have, trying to make it stretch across a canyon of debt. You have been led to believe that because your bank account is running dry, the well of my grace has also run dry. But let me declare this over you today. My economy is not dictated by the world's markets, nor is my provision limited by your current circumstances. When you look at your situation, all you see is a mountain of obligations and a ticking clock. But when I look at your situation, I see the perfect stage for a miracle that will leave you breathless. The enemy has used this financial pressure to make you question your very worth. It whispers in your quietest moments that if you were truly blessed, you wouldn't be struggling like this. It uses your empty hands to make you feel deeply ashamed, as if you have somehow failed your family, failed yourself, and failed me. But hear the voice of your Father. I do not measure your value by what you can produce, and my love for you is not calculated by what you can afford. The poverty the enemy wants you to feel is a spiritual illusion designed to distract you from the overflowing inheritance that is already yours. I need you to understand that this intense pressure you are feeling is not a punishment. It is not the consequence of my absence. You have been fighting this battle like an orphan, hoarding crumbs of anxiety, trying to protect yourself with endless worrying. But you are not an orphan. You are the beloved child of the Creator of all things. The silver is mine and the gold is mine. The doors that seem completely bolted shut to you right now are nothing but fragile paper to my breath. I am preparing to move on your behalf, but I need you to step out of the way of your own miracle. Before tomorrow arrives, before that next envelope is opened, or that next notification chimes, you must stop fighting a spiritual battle with earthly weapons. You cannot outcalculate this storm. You cannot outworry this level of spiritual warfare. The secret to breaking this financial siege is to radically, entirely shift your gaze. You must take the heavy crown of provider off your own tired head and place it back onto mine. I am asking you to do something that defies human logic. The action I am asking of you is this: surrender. Not the kind of surrender that means giving up in defeat, but the kind of surrender that acknowledges you were never meant to carry the weight of the world. I want you to take all those bills, all those calculations, and all that deep-seated fear of lack, and lay them down. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, take your hands off the steering wheel of your financial future. The enemy wants you gripping it so tightly that your knuckles turn white, believing that if you let go, everything will crash. But I'm telling you, if you let go and give it to me, everything will finally align. This is the spiritual shift you must make before tomorrow arrives. Stop declaring your debt and start declaring my promises. Your words have power, my child. Every time you say, I am broke, or I will never get out of this, you are agreeing with the enemy's narrative of poverty. You are building walls of lack with your own tongue. Tonight, I want you to change the atmosphere in your home. I want you to speak into the quietness of your room and say, my Father is my provider. This lack is temporary. My provision is secure. You might not see the money in your account right at that moment, but you are setting heaven in motion. You are shifting from a posture of panic to a posture of expectation. You see, faith is not denying the reality of the bills. Faith is denying that the bills have the final say over your life. When you choose to rest in me, even when the math doesn't add up, you are confusing the enemy. The enemy expects you to crumble under this pressure. It expects you to lose sleep, to lose hope, to turn away from me in frustration. But when you choose peace in the middle of a financial storm, you release a power that breaks the stronghold of lack. I am already working on the solution you have been praying for. There are doors I am opening that you cannot yet see. There are resources I am aligning that will arrive precisely when you need them. But I need your heart to be positioned to receive, not closed off by fear. Do not let the enemy convince you that because the answer hasn't come yet, it isn't coming at all. I am never late, and my provision is never short. So, before you close your eyes tonight, take a deep breath, hand the burden over to me, and sleep with the assurance that your Father is already working the night shift on your behalf. This is not a passive waiting, my beloved. It is an active partnership with heaven. I am inviting you to stop striving and start abiding. Think of the lilies of the field. They do not toil, they do not spin, yet they are clothed in a glory that surpasses all earthly wealth. They simply exist in the environment I created for them. absorbing the sun and the rain. I am asking you to do the same. Absorb my presence. Let my peace rain down on the dry, cracked soil of your anxious mind. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you check your bank balance, before you review the stack of bills, I want you to look up and say, "Thank you, Father, that your grace is sufficient for today." The enemy will try to pull you back into the panic. It will send a thought, a reminder of a deadline, a sudden wave of fear trying to drown out the peace you are cultivating. But you must hold the line. You are a warrior of faith, and your weapon right now is your refusal to be terrified by lack. Every time a fearful thought arises, counter it with a declaration of my abundance. Remind your soul that the one who fed 5,000 with a few loaves and fishes is the same God who is managing your household finances. I am not limited by a paycheck. I am not restricted by a credit score. My avenues of provision are infinite, and they are flowing toward you even now. Do not look at the closed doors and assume the hallway is a dead end. Sometimes I allow a door to close so you will stop knocking on something that was never meant for your highest good. The provision I am bringing you is not just to scrape by. It is to establish a foundation of peace so you can fulfill the purpose I have placed on your life. I do not want you distracted by survival. I want you thriving in your calling. So let the anxiety go. Let the heavy burden fall. Before tomorrow arrives, settle it in your heart. The God of the universe is your provider, and your financial winter is coming to an end. Rest now, my child. The breakthrough is already on its way. My child, now that you have surrendered your financial burdens into my hands, you must prepare your heart for the next phase of this spiritual battle, the waiting. I need you to listen very carefully, because the moment you declare your trust in me and let go of your fear, the enemy will launch its most deceptive counterattack. It will not necessarily send a new storm or a sudden tragedy. Instead, it will send a heavy, suffocating silence. It will point to your physical circumstances, your unchanged bank account, the ticking clock, the approaching deadlines, and it will whisper, "See, nothing happened. You are still exactly where you were. God is not coming. You must take control again." This is the absolute most critical moment of your breakthrough. You must understand deep within your spirit that a delay in the physical realm does not mean a denial in the heavenly realm. Just because your human eyes cannot yet see the provision does not mean my hands are not already moving it toward you with perfect precision. Think of a seed planted in the dark soil. To the outside observer, the surface of the earth looks exactly the same for days, sometimes weeks. Nothing seems to be happening. But if the farmer panics and digs up the seed to check if it is growing, he destroys the very harvest he is desperately waiting for. Your faith is that seed, and my perfect timing is the soil. I am asking you today, do not dig up your surrender with the shovel of anxiety. Do not undo your prayers with words of panic. When the silence feels deafening, and when the world's logic screams at you, to scramble, to frantically borrow, to make impulsive decisions born out of pure fear, I want you to stand completely still. That frantic urge to fix it yourself is the enemy trying to pull you out of the exact alignment required for my blessing to fall upon you. I am doing a profound, unseen work within you right now. I am not merely trying to change your immediate financial situation. I am entirely rewriting your relationship with trust. I am breaking the heavy chains of self-reliance that have secretly exhausted you for years. If I provided the answer the very second you asked, you would celebrate the provision, but your soul would never learn the deep, unshakable peace of resting in the provider. Do not look at the calendar, my child. Do not stare at the clock. Fix your gaze on me. The breakthrough is germinating in the unseen places, gathering the exact momentum needed to burst through the hard soil of your current reality. Keep your hands open. The harvest is closer than your fear wants you to believe. My beloved, as you wait in this sacred space of surrender, another silent enemy will try to slip through the cracks of your mind, the trap of comparison. I see the moments when you look at those around you, people who seem to be flourishing, who seem to have no financial worries, who are buying, building, and celebrating. And a quiet, painful whisper echoes in your heart. What about me, Lord? Have I done something wrong? Why is their harvest so abundant while my field remains so dry? The enemy loves to use the blessings of others as a weapon to wound your spirit, twisting my goodness into a narrative of your unworthiness. It wants you to feel utterly forgotten. But listen to me closely. My timeline for your life is uniquely and perfectly woven. I am not delaying your provision because I love you less. I am holding it back momentarily because I am building something far more enduring within you. When you are forced to trust me in the dark, when you must lean on my word instead of your bank account, your faith is being refined like pure gold in the fire. The fire is not there to destroy the gold. It is there to burn away the impurities. I am burning away the subtle idols of self-reliance, the fear of lack, and the deep-seated toxic belief that your absolute security comes from the world's fragile economy. If I were to hand you the fullness of the blessing before your spirit was anchored completely in me, the very provision meant to bless you could become a heavy weight that eventually pulls you away from my presence. I am stretching your spiritual capacity to carry the weight of the coming glory. I am enlarging your territory so that when the financial breakthrough finally crashes into your reality, it will not just be a momentary relief, but a lasting generational shift. You will know exactly how to steward it, because you will intimately remember the God who sustained your soul when your pockets were completely empty. Do not let the enemy use the success of others to blind you to the massive miracle I am actively preparing in your own house. Do not despise this dry season, for it is the very environment where your spiritual roots are being forced to grow deeper, reaching into the hidden, eternal streams of my living water. Your story is not meant to be a duplicate of someone else's. Your testimony is being written with the ink of perseverance, and when it is finally fully revealed, it will shake the very foundations of the darkness that tried to consume you. My child, I want you to look deeper into the nature of this financial struggle. This battle you are fighting today is not just about your current bank account or your immediate circumstances. It is a generational resistance. The spirit of lack, scarcity, and poverty has tried to weave itself into your bloodline long before you were even born. The enemy has used this exact same fear to paralyze those who came before you, convincing them that they would only ever have just enough to survive. But I am telling you today, with absolute heavenly authority, the cycle stops with you. I have chosen you to be the breaker in your family line. The heavy chains of generational debt, the constant scraping by, the paralyzing anxiety about money that is passed down from parent to child. It all ends here, in this season, through your faithful surrender. Because I am preparing to do something unprecedented in your lineage, I need you to prepare your vessel. Do you remember the story of the widow who was drowning in debt, terrified that she was about to lose everything she loved? The prophet did not hand her a bag of gold. He told her to go and gather empty jars. She had to make physical and spiritual room for the miracle before the oil could even begin to flow. I'm telling you to do the exact same thing right now. Gather your empty jars. Clear out the spiritual and mental clutter of defeat. Stop speaking words of poverty over your home. Stop expecting the worst-case scenario to happen. You cannot ask me for an overflowing harvest while your mind is simultaneously preparing for a famine. I need your expectations to match my promises. Walk through your home today and declare with boldness, "This house belongs to the Lord, and lack has absolutely no authority here." When you look at your empty wallet or your depleted accounts, do not see a deficit. See an empty jar, desperately ready to be filled by the miraculous hand of God. The oil of my provision will only stop flowing when there are no more empty vessels of faith to receive it. The enemy is utterly terrified of you realizing this truth. It is terrified that you will stop settling for crumbs and start stepping into your rightful inheritance as a child of the King. You are not a helpless victim of a broken earthly economy. You are an heir to an unshakable, eternal kingdom. Shift your posture right now, from survival mode to preparation mode. Sweep the floors of your mind. Open the doors of your heart. The provision that is coming will not just pay the immediate bills you are worried about today. It will overflow to bless your children and your children's children. Stand tall, my beloved. You are the one who changes the history of your family forever. My child, as you begin to prepare your empty vessels and declare freedom over your bloodline, there is a specific battleground I must urgently warn you about. The enemy knows it cannot physically stop my hand from providing for you, so it will attempt the only tactic it has left. It will try to pollute your mind. It wants to steal the seed of faith before it can take root in your reality. In the coming days, you will face moments where earthly logic will violently clash with heavenly promise. You will see numbers that do not add up. You will hear news that tries to incite panic. And most dangerously, the enemy will use the voices of those around you, sometimes even well-meaning friends or family members, to speak words of fear, limitation, and absolute doubt into your spirit. They will ask you what your plan is. They will demand to know how you intend to survive this financial winter. They will try to pull you back into the suffocating matrix of human calculation that I have just commanded you to abandon. When this happens, I do not want you to argue. I do not want you to defend yourself or try to explain the invisible workings of heaven to those who only see the natural world. Instead, I want you to quietly and fiercely guard the gates of your mind. You cannot afford the luxury of a single negative thought right now. You cannot allow the toxic smoke of someone else's anxiety to suffocate the fragile flame of your newborn faith. I am giving you the authority to silence the whispers of lack. When a thought of poverty tries to enter your mind, you must arrest it immediately. Do not entertain it. Do not invite it to sit at your table in the middle of the night. Say to yourself, "My mind is occupied by the promises of God, and there is no vacancy for fear." The peace I am offering you is not some fragile, delicate emotion that shatters at the sight of an unpaid bill. It is a heavy, impenetrable shield. It is a spiritual weapon. When you hold your peace in the midst of financial chaos, you are actively driving back the forces of darkness that want to see you crumble. Before this day is over, I want you to consciously filter everything you listen to, everything you watch, and every conversation you engage in. Starve your fear and fiercely feed your faith. The magnitude of your breakthrough is heavily dependent on the atmosphere you cultivate in your own mind and in your own home. Stand guard, my beloved. The enemy is frantically knocking because it knows your miracle is near, but you do not have to open the door. Keep your eyes fixed entirely on me. My child, now that you have learned to fiercely guard the gates of your mind from the poison of fear, I must take you one step deeper into this spiritual warfare. I need to teach you about the most powerful weapon I have placed right at your disposal. A weapon the enemy desperately hopes you will never learn how to use. It is your mouth. In the natural world, your words are merely sound waves vibrating in the air, but in the spiritual realm, Your words are architectural tools. They are the very building blocks of your reality. They either construct walls of limitation or they tear down ancient strongholds of lack. The enemy has trained you to use your words merely to describe your current painful reality. It wants you to look at your circumstances and agree with them out loud. When you hold that overwhelming bill in your hand, what is your first reaction? Do you sigh heavily and say, "I am ruined"? Do you look at your spouse or your children and declare, "I don't know how we are ever going to survive this"? My beloved, when you speak those words, you are not just expressing frustration. You are literally prophesying your own defeat. You are commanding the atmosphere of your home to align with poverty. But from this moment forward, I am giving you a new vocabulary. I am completely upgrading your language from the earthly dialect of lack to the royal language of the kingdom. I want you to stop speaking about your mountain of debt, and I want you to start speaking to your mountain. When you look at an empty bank account, I want you to speak to it the same way the prophets of old spoke to valleys of dry bones. You stand in front of that deficit and you say, "Hear the word of the Lord. You will align with the abundance of heaven." You speak to your debts and say, "You are temporary, and you will be cleared." You speak to your hands and say, "Everything these hands touch will prosper according to His will." You might feel foolish at first. Your human logic will absolutely mock you. The world will tell you that talking to a piece of paper will not pay the balance. But you must understand the profound spiritual mechanics at play. When you speak my promises out loud in faith, you are not just talking to the air. You are giving commands that the spiritual realm must obey. Angels are actively dispatched to fulfill the word of God when it is spoken through the lips of a believing child. Heaven does not move simply because you are crying in despair. Heaven moves violently on your behalf when you make declarations of faith in the face of impossible odds. The heavy, oppressive spirit of poverty cannot endure in a room where the name of the ultimate provider is continuously exalted. Walk through your home today, open your mouth, and decree your deliverance. My child, as your bold words begin to fundamentally reshape the spiritual atmosphere of your home, I need you to open your eyes to the physical realm in a completely new way. You have surrendered the crushing burden. You have fiercely guarded your mind, and you have spoken my decrees into the empty spaces. Now you must prepare yourself for the tangible movement of my hand. The breakthrough you have been desperately praying for is going to manifest, but you must be highly alert, because it may not arrive in the packaging your human mind expects. The enemy wants you constantly looking for a massive, instantaneous windfall, hoping that when I send a small seed of provision, you will ignore it or throw it away in disappointment. But remember the prophet Elijah. After a long, devastating drought, he prayed for rain. He did not see a torrential downpour immediately. His servant only saw a tiny cloud the size of a man's hand rising from the sea. To the natural, logical eye, it was absolutely nothing. It was too small to water the dry earth. But to the spiritual eye, that small cloud was the undeniable guarantee of an overwhelming, drought-ending flood. I am going to start sending small clouds into your life, starting this very week. It might be an unexpected phone call. It might be a sudden idea that wakes you up in the middle of the night, a creative thought or a solution that you would normally dismiss as impossible or too difficult. It might be a gentle, persistent nudge in your spirit to reach out to someone or to take a bold step of faith in a direction that terrifies you. Do not ignore these whispers, my beloved. My heavenly provision very often comes wrapped in the earthly form of an opportunity, a divine connection, or a sudden, brilliant shift in your perspective. I am actively ordering your steps right now, but you must be willing to walk. Your obedience in the small, seemingly insignificant things is the exact key that unlocks the massive doors of my provision. If I prompt you to give, even out of your current lack, do it with a joyful heart, for that is the ultimate spiritual rebellion against the spirit of poverty. If I prompt you to rest when the world's logic screams at you to panic, rest boldly. The miracle you have been weeping for is no longer just on its way. It is actively unfolding all around you. Keep your spiritual eyes wide open today. The God who made the promise is the God who is already performing it. My child, there is one final, essential spiritual weapon I need to place firmly in your hands before this season shifts completely. You have learned to surrender your heavy burden. You have fiercely guarded your mind, and you have boldly spoken my decrees. Now you must learn the profound mystery of radical gratitude. The world believes that gratitude is simply a natural reaction to a blessing. They wait for the check to clear, for the debt to be erased, and for the storm to completely pass before they finally say, "Thank you." But in my kingdom, gratitude is not a reaction. It is the very catalyst that breaks the chains. I want you to think of Paul and Silas, locked away in the darkest, innermost cell of the prison. Their feet were bound in stocks, their backs were bruised, and all earthly logic dictated that they should be weeping in absolute despair. But at midnight, they did not complain. They did not recount their miseries or beg for an explanation. Instead, they began to sing praises, and it was their praise, their radical, illogical gratitude in the middle of their deepest pain, that caused a violent earthquake to shake the very foundations of the prison, blowing every locked door wide open. I am calling you to your midnight praise right now. While the bank account still looks low, while the bills are still sitting on your kitchen table, and while the pressure still tries to squeeze your chest, I want you to lift your voice and thank me. Thank me that you have a roof over your head. Thank me for the breath in your lungs. Thank me that the creator and provider of the universe calls you his beloved child. When you praise me in the exact middle of a financial deficit, you completely disorient and paralyze the enemy. The darkness simply cannot comprehend a soul that rejoices while it is being severely tested. Your praise becomes a blinding spiritual light that shatters the oppressive atmosphere in your home. It shifts your heart from a posture of desperate begging to a posture of confident receiving. You are no longer a victim, merely hoping to survive. You are a victor thanking your Father for a triumph that is already guaranteed in the spirit realm. Before the sun rises tomorrow, find a quiet moment. Lift your empty hands toward heaven, not in desperation, but in profound thanksgiving. Let your gratitude be the earthquake that shakes the foundations of your financial prison. The doors are about to swing wide open. My child, when you lift that midnight praise, when you choose to thank me in the very face of your financial giant, a profound and violent shift occurs in the heavenly realms. You might open your eyes and still see the same four walls of your room. You might look at your phone and still see the same bank balance. But in the spiritual world, an undeniable dawn has just broken. The heavy chains of anxiety that were tightly wrapped around your chest have been permanently severed. The generational curses of lack, poverty, and constant striving have been completely shattered by the sheer force of your radical gratitude. I need you to understand this fundamental truth. The victory is always completely secured in the spirit before it ever materializes in the physical world. Right now, you are standing in a sacred space, the quiet threshold between the Amen and the physical manifestation. How you walk through this threshold is absolutely critical. The enemy, having lost its grip on your mind, will try one last, desperate tactic. It will try to make you pick up the heavy chains that I have just broken off your life. It will try to lure you back into the familiar, toxic comfort of worrying. You have been in survival mode for so long that living in absolute peace might actually feel strange and uncomfortable to you. You might wake up tomorrow morning and feel a sudden wave of panic, simply because you aren't panicking. The enemy wants you to feel guilty for resting, while the bills are still on the table. Do not fall for this final trap, my beloved. When you wake up and your human nature tries to reach for the old heavy burden of finally settling, I want you to consciously speak to your own soul and say, we do not carry that burden anymore. You left that down long ago. You must fiercely protect the peace you have just fought so hard to obtain. You are no longer a captive waiting for a ransom to be paid. You are a freed child of the Most High, simply watching the gates swing open. I am actively washing away the trauma of your past financial failures. I am healing the deep, silent shame you carried when you could not provide the way you desperately wanted to. That shame was never yours to bear. Today, I am dressing you in a new garment of heavenly confidence. As you walk through this day, walk with your head held high, not in arrogance, but in the deep assurance that your Father owns it all. The resources have already been dispatched. The long financial winter is over, and the very first warmth of your breakthrough is already touching your life. My child, as you step into this new day, wearing your fresh garment of heavenly confidence, there is a profound and sacred responsibility I am placing gently into your hands. The breakthrough you have prayed for is no longer a distant dream. It is rapidly approaching your physical reality. But before the full weight of this financial harvest arrives, I must prepare your heart to steward it correctly. The enemy, having failed to destroy you in the famine, will now attempt to destroy you in the abundance. It will try to convince you to hoard the provision out of a lingering, hidden fear that the winter might suddenly return. It wants you to grip the new blessing so tightly that it becomes an idol, a false savior that replaces your reliance on me. But I am not pouring out this massive provision just so you can build taller walls of self-protection. I am blessing you so that you can become a powerful conduit of my grace. I do not want you to be a stagnant reservoir where the water flows in and never leaves. I have called you to be a rushing river. The absolute greatest defense against the spirit of poverty is a radically generous heart. When the resources begin to flow into your hands, and they will flow, I want you to hold them loosely. Remember the long, agonizing nights you spent praying for a miracle? I am going to use your newly blessed hands to be the exact miracle someone else is desperately weeping for right now. This is how we completely eradicate the generational curse of lack from your bloodline forever. We replace the panic of scarcity with the immense joy of kingdom generosity. I want you to look at whatever little you possess right now, in this very moment. Do not despise it. Do not curse the smallness of your current bank account or the meagerness of your pantry. Bless it. Give thanks for the few loaves and fishes you hold today, because gratitude over the little is the spiritual magnetic force that draws the miraculous multiplication of heaven. I am trusting you with this coming wealth, my beloved. I allowed you to walk through the barren wilderness so that your character could be forged, so that your compassion could be deepened, and so that you would never forget that your true security is found only in my presence. You are ready for the weight of this blessing. The roots of your faith have grown deep enough in the dark to sustain the massive, towering tree of abundance that is about to burst forth in the light. Keep your heart pure and your hands open. My child, as you prepare your heart to receive this financial harvest and steward it with radical generosity, I want you to pause for a moment and look back at the wilderness you have just survived. The enemy wanted this harsh season of financial lack to completely break you. It desperately wanted the sleepless nights, the mounting bills, and the relentless, suffocating pressure to sever your connection with me. It tried to convince you that because your pockets were empty, your soul had been abandoned. But look at you now. Look at how you are standing in the Spirit. You did not break. You may have bent under the heavy, violent weight of the storm, yes, but your roots only grew deeper into the immovable bedrock of my love. I need you to realize that the absolute greatest miracle that has occurred in this season is not the money that is about to flow into your bank account. Earthly wealth comes and goes. The greatest miracle is the unshakable, battle-tested warrior you have become in the unseen realm. You have learned the profound secret of how to worship in the total dark. You have learned how to open your mouth and speak life over a terrifying valley of dry bones. You have learned how to cling desperately to my promises when everything in the natural, logical world screamed at you to let go. That level of fierce, relentless faith cannot be bought with all the gold in the universe. It is forged only in the intense furnace of affliction. And you, my beloved, have emerged from that furnace shining. I want to validate every single tear you cried in secret. I was right there in the room when you wept over those financial statements. I was sitting closely beside you when you felt that paralyzing panic grip your chest in the middle of the night. I caught every single tear, and I recorded every desperate, broken prayer. Not a fraction of a second of what you endured was wasted. I am actively taking the very ashes of your financial panic and molding them into a crown of profound spiritual authority. When you soon speak to others who are drowning in debt and terrified of tomorrow, your words will not be empty platitudes. Your voice will carry the heavy, authentic, undeniable weight of someone who has been miraculously delivered. You will look them in the eye and say, "Hold on, because I intimately know the God who makes a way when there is absolutely no way." You are no longer just a tired survivor of a brutal financial winter. You have been transformed into a living, breathing beacon of my miraculous provision. Walk in that authority today. My child, if you have stayed with me until this very moment, know with absolute certainty that this is not a coincidence. Your spirit recognized the voice of your Father, calling you out of the barren wilderness of financial fear and into the promised land of overflowing provision. The heavy, suffocating yoke of anxiety that you carried when you first began listening to this message has been broken. I have lifted it from your shoulders. Take a deep, slow breath right now. Do you feel that lightness? Do you feel that subtle shift in your chest? That is the atmosphere of heaven, physically settling over your mind, your heart, and your home. You are stepping into a brand new season. The agonizing days of weeping over bills in the dark, the days of calculating your ultimate worth by the numbers in your bank account, the days of believing you have been completely forgotten, they are over. I am releasing a wave of favor, of unexpected resources, and of divine connections into your life starting today. But I need you to actively seal this word in your heart. If you feel deep within your spirit that this message was hand-delivered by heaven to rescue you today, I want you to respond with a physical act of faith. Press the like button on this video, not for the sake of human metrics, but as a spiritual signature. Let it be your physical way of saying, "Lord, I receive my breakthrough. I fully surrender my fear." Go to the comments right now and write these exact words. "I trust my provider, and my lack is over." When you type it, you are not just leaving a comment. You are prophesying over your own life. You are declaring to the enemy that you will no longer be intimidated by the illusion of poverty. I am looking at your name as you type it. I am sealing your bold declaration with my infinite grace. And my beloved, subscribe to this channel Treat it as a continuous covenant connection, a daily lifeline to the truth. Do not let the frantic noise of the world pull you back into the panic when tomorrow morning comes. Stay securely connected to the voice that speaks life, peace, and abundance over your tired soul. You are my chosen vessel. You are deeply loved, and I will never let you fall. Now be still. Place your hand over your heart. May the peace that surpasses all human understanding guard your mind. Go in absolute confidence today, knowing the God of the universe is funding your future. The long winter is over, and your glorious harvest is here. Amen.